Let the games begin, because from here on out, we are going to be diving into all of the Connor McDavid discourse as it thrives and pulsates throughout the course of the off-season. Fresh off the heels of the Edmonton Oilers getting eliminated in 6 games at the hands of the Anaheim Ducks, the latest Spectre's hockey piece from yesterday dives into what could be next for the Edmonton Oilers. Big shout out over to Lyle Richardson, of course, on Spectre's for giving us the scoop. Let's talk about Connor McDavid, where he could get traded to, what's the plan for Edmonton, and whether or not the LA Kings make sense for this guy. Stick around, it's all coming up here. This article opens up by talking about some folks on The Athletic, Sean Gentile and Chris Johnston. Yeah, pretty, notable folks, of course. They dove into what's next for the Oilers after their first-round elimination by the Anaheim Ducks. The Oilers don't have much time to rebuild back into perennial Stanley Cup contender status. Team captain Connor McDavid will be starting his new 2-year contract next season. League sources claim McDavid remains determined to bring the Oilers to the promised land despite this season's setback. However, he will expect management to deliver on specific roster adjustments this summer. Among them include finding a new goalie. Jordan Binnington, Adin Hill. Are any of these guys possible? There also are the UFAs. Dickinson, Roslovic, Kapanen, and others. And then you have to decide what to do with Darnell Nurse. That's an entire other conversation, so we'll skip that one for now. On the hockey news, Ryan O'Hara believes the Oilers' collapse raises questions about McDavid's future and head coach Chris Knobloch's job. Well, lucky for you, Ryan, we did just go out there and make a video on this YouTube channel citing Darren Dreger's comments on Bruce Cassidy's availability, all of a sudden threatening the possibility of Knobloch coming back. Ryan O'Hara writes that if a trade could come about for Connor McDavid, the LA Kings would make sense. While the Kings also made an early postseason exit, O'Hara believes their defensive structure and reliable goaltending are things that McDavid hasn't had in Edmonton, and could make them an enticing destination. Now, we have made a few videos talking about the possibility of Connor McDavid heading over to the LA Kings. Take a look at some of the shorts that we had. Let's see if we can find it over here. Yes, there we go. The Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews idea with LA right in the forefront there. What I love about LA for Connor McDavid is the fact that they are essentially the total opposite of what Edmonton is as a franchise. Both of these teams have their flaws. The LA Kings can't win games in regulation. The Oilers can't keep the puck out of their net. Darcy Kemper has been pretty good, and LA's defense has significantly upgraded over the past few years with mediocre, stable shutdown D. End of the day, though, a lot of those guys in LA are focused on just trying to get more offense. That's their biggest issue. Connor McDavid and the Oilers, they've needed help defending. Offense was never really an issue with the Edmonton squad, and if Connor McDavid found himself in LA, mimicking the Wayne Gretzky train from Edmonton to LA, then he could be developing some pretty good chemistry with guys like Artemi Panarin, Kevin Fiala, Adrian Kempe even. There are a number of really talented names that Connor McDavid could establish a dynamic duo with, and even if Leon Draisaitl is one of the best players in the world, McDavid could probably make do with some of those other guys with the Los Angeles Kings, and that includes their puck-moving defensemen on defense. Evan Bouchard, of course, is a pretty interesting and unique hockey player on the blue line, but that guy Brandt Clarke, he's been looking pretty good. Drew Doughty is on his way out. He's really old, so you're going to have to give the keys to the car to Brandt Clarke at some point, right? Anyways, let's go back and read the rest of this scoop here. Spectre's note goes out there and says that I put no stock into those whispers that McDavid wants out. Assuming he did, Lyle Richardson says he does not see the Kings as a destination. Like the Oilers, the Kings are at a crossroads, with Anze Kopitar retiring and longtime D-man Drew Doughty in the twilight of his career. Yes, they play better defense and have better goaltending, but that hasn't been enough to get them past the first round over the past 5 years. Well, that's because they've been playing against the Oilers all this time. They also lack the assets to meet what would be a significant asking price for McDavid. Now, that's if you're going off of a fair trade. Might I remind you, Connor McDavid has a full no-move clause, both right now and on the contract that he is going to be on next season. So, if Connor McDavid wants to go over to LA, doesn't matter what the trade price is or how many assets that team has, Connor McDavid's going to go to freaking LA. It's the exact same thing that happened with Panarin. Now, let's continue with this analysis over here. ESPN.com, Ryan S. Clark. Oh man, I love this dude. I absolutely love this dude. And if you are a Vancouver Canucks fan, you know exactly why Ryan S. Clark is Isan Al-Gaib, the messiah here in this part of the country. He believes the only concern for the Oilers is how to build up a better roster around Connor McDavid. He acknowledged there are other needs to be addressed, but improving the supporting cast around McDavid is the main concern. The Oilers will have to accomplish that by finding help at team-friendly prices. One way they could resolve that is to move one of their higher-paid players not named McDavid or Draisaitl. Spector's note says if they can't move Nurse, and Lyle Richardson doubts they can without adding a significant sweetener, trading away any of their high-salaried guys in Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, or Bouchard would do more harm than good. They could attempt to trade Wallman, but he has a full no-move. The easier player to move that would free up considerable space is Bouchard. He earns an AAV of 10.5, lacks no trade protection, and he would fetch a better return than the aforementioned players. However, moving him away would remove the top puck-moving defenseman, leaving them scrambling to find a suitable replacement. Trading Bouchard could also send the wrong signal to McDavid, making the prospect of his early departure more likely. Now, it's kind of an elephant in the room. Ryan S. Clark, I love this dude because he is the only guy that actually predicted Vancouver to beat Edmonton in their second-round series 2 years ago, and I remember all the commentary from folks all over social media. Ryan S. Clark was reacting to him being the only guy, and folks on the subreddit were saying, yep, this is the Messiah, Isan Al-Gaib. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if Ryan S. Clark's prophecies comes true, the mods should make a flare for our glorious prophet. Yeah, we loved this dude 2 years ago, and I still do because of his belief in the Canucks back then. But I also do think that one of the reasons LA was never able to advance super far in the playoffs is literally because Connor McDavid was on the other side, right? This season, okay, fine. They faced off against McKinnon and the Avalanche and they got destroyed. Yeah, they're also missing Fiala, so you could say if you upgrade Kopitar to McDavid, you bring Fiala in, you get Kemper a little bit more smelling salts, you're probably feeling a little better heading into a series against the Avs than you would have this time around. But just the idea of Connor McDavid going over to LA, him following the Gretzky path before heading over to St. Louis and inevitably New York, that seems like a really poetic way to continue the career of Connor McDavid, a guy who's 29 years old and who's won everything he needs to win except for the grand prize. And it's funny because you could say that applies to two things. This guy got the MVP at the Olympics. This guy got the MVP of the playoffs in 2024. This guy got the MVP of the playoffs in the OHL. He lost every single time. He did not win the OHL championship. He didn't win the Stanley Cup. He didn't win the gold medal, yet he has all the other hardware to prove that he is legit. He just hasn't won. That's the thing. His teams haven't won. And LA, I'm not saying they're an immediate championship winner if they get Connor McDavid, but LA's a team that can win. And they still do have some guys, okay, one guy, from those old Kings teams that was able to find a way to win back in 2012 and 2014. Can Connor McDavid be a part of the next generation of LA winning? I mean, they got Panarin. They wanted to bring that on with his acquisition. They still got Kempe, Fiala, Kuzmenko. I feel like Kuzmenko and McDavid would be pretty nasty, I'm not going to lie. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll leave a link in the description to the NHL rumor mill from yesterday as well. McDavid and LA, let me know in the comments all your opinions. Does this make sense? What could the Kings send over to Edmonton to make it work? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this Vidishara Scrolls 99, and bye.